This is the Reolink Argus PTZ solar powered CCTV camera. Let's quickly run through what you get in the box, a quick setup guide, and we'll show you what kind of image quality you can expect during the day and the night, as well as how well the solar panel performs. This camera was sent to us for free by Reolink, but this is in no way going to influence the review, and we will point out all the good and the not so good things that we find along the way. Starting with what we get in the box, and we get the Reolink camera itself, a mounting bracket to install it, wall plugs and screws, the antenna, micro USB cable, a strap which allows you to hook it around something like a tree for example, installation instructions, drilling templates, and some Reolink stickers. And in our solar panel box, we get the solar panel itself, we get the mounting bracket, and we get ourselves some more wall plugs and screws to mount it. The Argus PT is made out of plastic, and it is capable of 1080p and up to 15 frames per second. It has an inbuilt 6500 mAh battery which can be charged by using the included solar panel or by a 5V 2A power adapter, but one of these is not included in the box. There's the micro USB port to allow you to charge it up, there's a slot for a micro SD card, and you can install up to a 64GB card in there. There's a power switch to turn it on and off, an inbuilt microphone and speaker for two-way audio, the antenna connector. This camera only records motion detection, so it doesn't record 24/7, and it's not compatible with NVR boxes. It's designed to be used solely on your mobile phone or your tablet. The mount doesn't seem to be the best, as there seems to be quite a bit of movement if we tap the frame or the camera. I imagine that if there is a strong wind, then this will make the camera bounce and will quite likely result in it triggering and recording. The head can be moved around using the app on your mobile phone, and it can be horizontally rotated to 355 degrees, and we can move it up and down to 140 degrees. The mount can be detached, which will allow you to mount the camera onto a ceiling indoors if required. It is compatible with Amazon Alexa as well if you want to view it on an Echo Show for example. The solar panel has a very long micro USB cable measuring in at around 4 meters, so there's plenty of distance for you to get between the panel and the camera itself. On the end of the cable is a rubber grommet which, when it is plugged into the camera, will prevent water from poor weather conditions getting into the micro USB port. It measures in at 18.5 centimeters from top to bottom and 12 centimeters across. There's a mounting hole on the back, and this allows it to be screwed into the provided mount. Installing the Reolink app brought no issues at all, with it just being a matter of scanning the QR code in the manual and setting up an account. Once set up, click on the plus in the top right corner of the app and scan the QR code that's on the bottom of the camera. Create a password for the unit, give it a name, and you're all set up. It does display some camera precautions to help reduce false alarms, so it's well worth checking those out first. This can be used even if you don't have Wi-Fi by using the Hotspot feature on your mobile phone for the camera to connect to. Just remember what your SSID and password is for the hotspot. When setting up the camera on the app under the Wi-Fi info, type in your SSID and password, follow the rest of the on-screen instructions, and you're all set. Quickly running through the main features of the app, we are able to live view what the camera can see at that moment. Our settings cog in the top right lets us see the battery level. We get options to change the resolution from 1080 down to 720p. The frame rate can be changed from 15 down to 2 frames per second if required, and we can get a maximum bit rate of 2048. Day and night mode can be changed manually or left on auto, where the camera will automatically change between day and night depending on how much light is available. Privacy mask can be set, and this is where you tell the camera to ignore movement in certain areas of the frame, which will allow it to limit the recording and save a little with battery life. PIR motion sensor can be disabled if required, or put on a schedule where it only activates at certain times of the day. You also get the option to play around with the sensitivity level if you're having issue with false alarms. Reolink do a very good job with this, as it explains exactly what's happening when you move that slider around. When recording to a micro SD card, there is a post-motion record duration, which is where the camera will continue record after motion has stopped being detected. We get the option of 8, 15 or 30 30 seconds for this. Push notifications and email alerts can be enabled, which will inform you if motion has been detected or if your battery level is getting low. A siren can be switched on, so if movement is detected, then it will make a sound. You can expect to get around the high 80 decibels in sound. You can create a time lapse, but you need a micro SD card installed to be able to take advantage of this feature. Once a card is installed, then you get some presets available to select, and there's plenty of options to change. For example, how long you want it to record for, and it gives you how much space it's going to use on the memory card, which is always useful. The camera can be shared with another person that has the Reolink app installed. The person who you have shared the camera with will also get the same options as you do, so if they know the password for the camera, then they can change it. Also, if you delete the camera, then the person who you've shared it with will still be able to have full access to the unit. Sound can be enabled so you can listen to people nearby, and the audio will come through on your mobile phone. We can take a photo or record, and once again this is saved directly to your mobile phone. You can change the quality of the picture in the live view from fluent to 1080p. This will improve the overall image, but it will use more bandwidth. At the bottom we have the talk feature, which allows us to use the inbuilt microphone of our mobile phone to speak to people who come near the camera. The PTZ allows us to move the head around. It doesn't have the auto tracking feature, so it doesn't follow an object on its own, so you will need to move this manually if you want to do that. And the playback option allows you to view the footage that is saved on your micro SD card that is installed in the unit. The installation is simple, especially with the drilling templates. Screw the plastic plate onto the wall so that the screw for the camera is pointing downwards. Screw the Argus PT onto it and make sure that you flip the switch to turn it on. You're able to install up to a 64GB memory card into the unit. There is also the option of saving onto the cloud, but if you're in Europe then you are out of luck with this feature as it is currently unavailable, meaning that storing on the micro SD card is going to be your only option. So jumping into the footage, first of all we had the camera installed at close range, and the first thing that we noticed is that it takes a second or so for it to begin recording, meaning that it doesn't immediately trigger. This means that if somebody comes around the corner and into view and your camera is set up quite close to them, it may very well miss it. We also noticed that if you get too far away from the camera, then it doesn't seem to detect us and the recording will stop even though we're not too far away. We thought maybe we had our sensitivity settings set too low, but when we had a look, we had it on the highest settings and we didn't even tick the box to reduce the false alarms. So I was kind of expecting it to keep recording us. Once we did come a little closer, then it began to record and it was fine, and it recorded us for the duration that we were in the frame. The daytime footage was decent, but there is a little grain to the image. It will certainly be good enough to identify someone, and the 15 frames per second is plenty to get fluent enough footage. Moving over to the night footage, and there is more noticeable grain to the image. We had the same issue where it would record fine providing we weren't too far away. When we get back within the distance of about 10-15 feet, then we were detected fine and it recorded throughout until we walked out of the frame. So it looks like the positioning of the camera is going to play a massive part of what gets recorded. Moving the camera again, and because we're quite a distance away, it does seem to struggle to pick up the movement on a consistent basis. So our first clip is of a car that's gone past that has come from the left hand side of the frame and turned into the road opposite. So we're still getting the issue where it takes a second for it to begin recording when motion is detected. Our next clip of 26 seconds worth of footage is of us when we're already in the centre of the frame, but we have come in again from the left hand side of the frame, which the delayed recording has missed. Even though we're further away than previous tests, it seems to continue recording, but it does cut out before the other people go out of the frame. The night footage picks us up in the distance as it has been triggered by cars going past. As there isn't any movement being picked up, then it stops recording. The next time it begins to record is when we're already up the pathway, so it hasn't re-triggered from when we come past the car that was in the middle of the road. Recording only gets triggered when movement is detected, so if there is a sound but whatever is causing the audio is not moving in front of the lens, then it won't be recorded. This is a microphone test. We are standing around a foot away from the camera, so this is the kind of audio you can expect from the microphone. This is a microphone test. We are around 10 feet away, so this is the kind of audio you can expect from the... We are testing the speaker of the Reolink camera. It would be ideal if you put it in front of the doorway and you just want to speak to somebody who has come to the door. But it does seem to cut out a little bit. Live viewing or watching saved footage can be done whether you're on a Wi-Fi network or if you're sitting in the pub somewhere using your 4G or 5G on your mobile phone, so you've always got access to the camera. Now the battery is something that we were quite concerned about, as we were expecting it to drain very quickly, but when we first turned it on we had 47% battery, and we plugged in the solar panel at 10:52 AM and it had reached 58% by around 1 PM. The sun had moved from directly hitting the solar panel and we had lost 1% of battery by 3 PM, and by the time it had reached 5 PM we had lost another 1% of battery. We left this overnight to see if it dropped any further, but when we woke up it had jumped up to 63%. Checking it again at 4 PM on that day and it had gone up to 82%. So during the summer months I'm pretty confident that it will keep the battery charged up. As we are not in the winter months at the moment, then we are unable to test this. We then charged the battery up to 100% and we unplugged the solar panel to see how long the battery lasted. It was unplugged at 9:45 PM and we had checked it at 10:35 AM the next day and it was down to 97% and it had had 34 detections of motion in that time. We left it unplugged for the next 2 days and we still had 73% of battery at the end of the second day. We are currently on day 4 and still have 49% of battery left. So the battery has really impressed us. You can charge the battery up using a battery pack if required, which obviously isn't going to be ideal if the camera is mounted high up, but we are confident that if you use a solar panel then you should be fine.